Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Confidence Chronicles podcast. It's Erica here, and today's episode is all about values. I love me some values. And I think I wanted to do this episode because it's such an important part of who we are and our lives and who we're being and what we believe in and the decisions we choose to make or not make, who we interact with, who we get into relationships with. Like, everything is stemmed from our personal values. And if you haven't had a look at your values recently, I love to do this with my clients, and I suggest every 6 months. And the reason why is because so much happens in our lives. We get into relationships, new jobs, become parents. So much goes on in a year's time or 6 months' time that I really think it's a great thing to be able to look back upon and re-choose our values. So, values. One of the biggest things I think where this can play out if you haven't looked at your values is in conflicts or relationships. So recently, y'all know I'm a mom. If you listened to this before, you follow me on social media, I've got 2 kids. And, when you get married, you kind of buy into the rest of the family. So your families collaborate or come together, right? So my mom is in Boston, so I don't get to see her as much. So she's not fully involved. But my husband's family's here. And let me tell you, they're amazing, but they've got their set of beliefs. And I think when you become a parent, you get given, I talk about this a lot in my mind work, but you get given a set of instructions, a set of beliefs, a set of, hello, welcome to the world, baby. Here's how we do it. And here's the list that you have to follow. And it's usually, most of the time, it's stuff that you haven't chosen for yourself, right? So I do this thing in the work that I do, like in your mind, 75% of it, this is just me calling out stats, nothing on paper here, but I believe 75% of our minds are things that were given to us from our past, thoughts, beliefs, everything from the past, from our ancestors, from our culture, from our religion, from where we grew up, from what time period we were raised. If you're a girl, you like pink. If you're a boy, you like trains and blue, all this stuff that was really we walked into. And then the rest of it, 25% of the other rest of your mind is all about the future and what's going to happen and wondering and worrying and anxiety. And it's very rare that we live in the present moment, or not a lot of us are really present most of the time. So when you look at you walking into the world when you were born and got given a set of instructions and a set of beliefs and a set of things to think and things to act upon, your values were things that were given to you. You learn this by how you got brought up, right? So if your mom really, for example, my mom really values looking good. It's her top value because she cares what people think. A lot, and a lot of people do, right? Especially our parents. I'm 35, so my mom's in her 60s, so this was a thing. This was a huge thing. Still in our society, people care a lot what other people think about them. There's a fear of being judged and a fear of failure because we care what other people think. So my mom walks around as I'm a kid, dressing me up, and if I got dirty, changed my clothes, didn't let me climb, didn't let me get, filthy. I had to be pretty. I had to look really nice. I had to always look perfect, have my nails done, have my makeup done. As a woman, she's like, where's your lipstick? How come you haven't painted your nails? Erika, do this. Erika, do that. And I'm like, oh my God, I used to get really frustrated with her because I was like, Mom, leave me alone. I'm going to do this workshop without my nails painted. I don't give a damn. And the more I started working on myself, the more I started realizing that how I look is not important because I know who I am and I have full confidence in myself and who I am and my ability and what I'm going to do. And I know that it has nothing to do with what color I paint my nails or if I wear lipstick or not, right? So because I've done all this work and I've really realized that for myself, my mom has not realized that for herself. So she's being who she is. And I need to understand that that's who she is and that's her value. And I can allow her to keep that value and let her have that and me not have to take it. Does that make sense? She was really trying to impress this upon me and be like, Erica, you should care what people think. You should wear lipstick. You should do this. You should do that. And so for her, I look at her now and I know that that's a high value for her. But in my book, I don't value that. So I was like, Mom, you can have this back. And I gave it back to my mom. Metaphorically, right? I actually did tell her. So my invitation is when you realize what your value is and what your value is not, that you communicate that with those around you if you feel called to do so. You don't have to, but for me, it was really helpful for me to tell my mom, listen, Mom, I love you. You know, I'm about to go do a speaking gig with all these women, and I promise you that if they're worried about the nail polish that I don't have, or, you know, my lipstick or whatever, then they're missing the point, and I'm okay with them being wrong about me. I'm cool with that, you know? So values are huge, because I think that the biggest thing about values that I see is like we make decisions based off of what other people have given to us. So when you don't know what your values are and you don't sit with pen and paper and do them and write them out, and I'm going to tell you guys how to do them, because I think what I do, this is my recommendation. One of my mentors gave me this, and then I just took it a little bit deeper, because I thought, wow, values are so deep. They're so thick, and there's so much work to be done in them. So what I'd love in this podcast is I want to give you some takeaways that you can go off and write and journal and do some work around your values, so you can find out what your values are. Isn't that exciting? Whoop, whoop. Yeah. All while driving. This is great. So, first and foremost, when you don't know your values and you don't know what you stand for, and you're not reminding yourself of your top values all of the time, what happens is you will start to latch on or be influenced by others' values. So what does that look like? My husband and I were in a cult. It was a business cult, and at the time we didn't know it was a cult. And I'm American, and I was like, ain't nobody gonna get me in no cult. And I got y'all. Like, I got, right? Like, I was headlining that cult, and it's not officially a cult, but we know it was a cult, those of us that were in it, right? And the best experience, by the way, of my life, because I learned a lot of shit that I needed to learn and experienced a lot that I needed to experience, clearly. But at the time, the person who was running this, it was a business group and a business mentoring. We spent a lot of money and a lot of time and energy on this, in this business group, aka cult. And one of the biggest things was this person who led it and who ran it, his number one value was money. Number one. And you could see it because of how he spoke about money, what he thought about, where he put his time, what was number one on his list when he did his values. And all of us in the group, most of us, you know, that really wanted to be a part of this group and wanted to be successful, I'm doing air quotes, right? Because success means different things. We all had money as a number one value. Because he would tell us, this is what you value, this is what it is, you got to make money, it's all about money. So we were all holding money as number one value, but internally, really, that wasn't our number one value. And still to this day, me and my husband talk about it, because my number one value is not money. Before money is contribution. For me, like, I'm going to give to the world no matter what. Like, they can pay me or not, I'm still going to talk this shit. I'm still going to do this work. I will die doing this fucking work. I love this shit. This is like part of my dharma. This is part of my journey, my calling, my path. This is who I came here to be this lifetime. So regardless, if I get money for it, of course, I would love to make money. This is a business. I got mouths to feed, you know, bills to pay, all that shit, goals, travels that we want to do. But it's not the money is not my number one thing, like money. And so for this person, it was. So we were all in such conflict, and we really lost ourselves. A lot of our group in that private mentoring that we had, we really lost ourselves. And it took some of us a long time to come back to who we really were, because we were so blinded by this other person's values, and we were so unclear about our own values that we allowed this to come in and take over. And so when you're not sure of what you value, and you're not clear up to it, to the universe, to God, to whoever you believe in, when you're not clear about what do you value, what is your top value, everything you do stems from an unclear space, and then you take on shit that's not really yours. And then every relationship you get into, every job, how you parent, what, you know, I have clients that have baptized their kids into a certain religion that they don't even go to church for. They don't go to church, they don't practice that religion, but because their parents do, they went and did it so that their parents are happy. And that's cool, right? I'm not here to judge. I'm just saying, if that's not your truth, you don't have to do that. Just because your parents are Catholic, you don't have to go baptize your kids Catholic to make your parents happy. And that was a situation we had to say no to. Because when my kid's, 22 or 14 and goes, Mom, why am I Catholic baptized if we don't even go to church? Oh, because your grandparents wanted me to do that. What? Like, I'm going to be the example of what confidence, what our values, what choice, what, following your heart, following your own intuition is. That's going to be our example for our kids. And then they can decide if he wants to go become a Catholic priest, amen, go do it, brother. If he wants to go become a transvestite, amen. If he wants to go, travel the world and never be home, awesome. He wants to be a street music busker, awesome. Like, whatever he's going to do, my kids, they're going to do what they do. I can just guide them. So your values are huge. So here's what I get my clients to do. I usually choose 4 areas because this is big and it can be overwhelming and it's deep work. I choose 4 areas. So the first area is values in yourself. So at the top you write self or life, right? Life values, self values, my life, self values, whatever you want to write. That's category 1. The second category is relationships. So these relationships can be romantic or not. They can be friendships or not. They can be your marriage. So relationship values. The third one is family. So your values in family. What is it that you value in family? And then the fourth one I do is work, or if you own your own business, career, however you want to name that. And what I do, I have a thing that I give my clients. It's a whole list of values, because sometimes people get stuck and don't know what values are. You can Google values and a bunch of values will come up, and you can print it or just have a look at the list and write them down. But what I recommend first is that you check in with yourself before you look at a list, because you can get overwhelmed, and you go, you know what are my values? What do I value in myself? What's my top value? And you may be someone that loves communication and clear communication. So for me, communication is right on up there. Like integrity, that's like my top value. Communication, authenticity. What are the words that come to you when you think about, contribution, growth, spirituality, whatever it is, right? So you pick your top values. And now write as much as you want. In each category, write. If you have 50, write 50. If you have 20, whatever it is. And here's what you do. After you write them all in each category, you go back through and you X out, or you cancel out the ones that are the same. So if I said integrity and authenticity, they could be the same. It depends what you want to, what you hold it as. What's the word that means a lot to you? For me, authenticity is a great word. And when I'm being authentic, I'm being honest. When I'm being authentic, I'm keeping it real. When I'm being authentic, I'm being vulnerable. So I wouldn't put vulnerability as my value. I would put, authenticity, because that encompasses those words. Does that make sense? So you find the words that are like kind of same, but different to you, and you cross them out and pick one word. So maybe your list of 10 has now become 5, right? And then what you do is in order, rate them. So what's your top value? You might have love, integrity, communication, and growth. What's number 1? What's your top value? Number 1 is integrity, right? Number 2 is communication. Number 3 is growth. Number 4 is contribution. Number 5 is love, whatever. I'm just using an example, right? So now you have your 1 to 5. So your top 3 values are boom, boom, boom. And what you'll start to notice is everywhere in your life, everywhere in your relationships, in your family, and in your career ones. And you can do this for everything. You could do this for spirituality. You could do this for, education, whatever areas of your life you want to pick. But if we just go with these 4, what you're going to notice is your top 3 are going to be weaved into all of them. So if you're all about communication, in your relationship, communication is huge, because that's your belief. That's your value. You're all about communicating. So here's what you do that. So you go all through the 4 areas. You do your 1 to 5 or your 1 to 7 or however many you chose. Put them in order. You cross out the ones that are same, and you find the one word that encompasses the meaning for you. And then what you do next to it, write down, what does that mean? So if your top value in self is communication, what does that mean? And write a little sentence. So communication means that I am true to my word and I connect and communicate with everybody around me, or I am true and I speak with clarity, or whatever it is. You write the meaning. What's the meaning of that value? What's the meaning of the next value? So you get little mini statements, like little mini sentences per value. And lastly, and this is the most important thing, do this with massive honesty, massive truth, and massive integrity for yourself. You rate yourself a 1 to 10. If your top value is communication, how are you right now with your own communication? How are you as a communicator right now? If you rated yourself on your top values 1 to 10, would you give yourself a 10? Would you give yourself a 4? This is you to do by yourself in honesty. And if you're anything less than a 9 or an 8, that shit needs work. And you might find you're already out of alignment. When you tell me that your number one value is integrity, yet you're in a relationship where you're not happy and you're cheating, or you're in a relationship with your body that you hate your body and you're eating bad but you're still going to the gym, where's the integrity for yourself there? So if you're not an 8 or above in your values, rate it, give yourself a 1 to 10, and know that the ones that are under 8 just need attention and work. And I promise you, if you commit to working on the ones that are under an 8, you will start to feel so much more balanced. You will start to feel so much more growth in your life. You will start to feel like you are on path, like you are more confident, like you are more what I say I do. You really, this is the key to doing values right where you're at right now. And it's okay if you're not, a 10 out of 10 in all of them. Most people aren't. I'm not. We're not. And then it shows you where the work needs to be done. So values are huge, guys, because if you're not living from your values, then anybody else with a stronger value, a sense of self, stronger, is going to come in and influence you. And it's not always the way that you want to be influenced. And it's not always the right answer for you, especially if you're a parent. The advice you get, your family can get involved. And just know that if anybody is attacking you, or they're not in conjunction with you, or you're upset about what they're thinking, just know they have their set of values and they're allowed to, and you have yours. And your job isn't to get everybody to believe your values. Your job is to know your own, believe your own, and respect others. Have boundaries around these people that you need to have boundaries around, and then respect theirs. So, I hope you've enjoyed this actionable podcast today, because values are the jam. And they will serve you so well if you can, do the work on them and get them sorted. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this. And I look forward to you sharing this episode with anybody that you think needs to hear this. Please subscribe. Please leave a review if you enjoy the podcast. And keep sending me DMs and messages on Instagram and Facebook. I so appreciate it. I love you guys, and I appreciate your time and your ears and your attention. Have a beautiful day.